Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube, Heavy for Heavy Hammer Bushcraft. Just wanted to do a quick little video, quick little Wednesday video for you guys. We talked a bit about kit and different things that you need to take in the woods with you in our first video. Different things you would need as a first time overnight camper, first time bushcrafter to really get yourself going. And one of the big things, and I get asked all the time by people that I know, people that Hammer knows. I mean, this is a discussion we have consistently, and I see it all over YouTube. The discussion of what is the best knife for bushcraft. The best knife for bushcraft is the knife you have with you, the knife that you have. That's kind of really the breakdown of it. There's not really, there are wrong knives. Everybody kind of likes to get these big, huge, bulky knives. They do, like Bowie knives are a great example. I personally can't stand them. I don't like them. I have one. Actually, I have two. I have a custom made that's a drop point that I actually like. That's a 6-inch blade, 5-inch handle because I have bear paws. But I also, for a while, I carried this guy here. If you've never seen one of these, this is a Buck 119. It's a decent little knife. They've been around forever. They don't use the best steel in the world. Buck makes a hell of a knife. I'm not a big fan of the 440 stainless, so I don't generally carry this one anymore. It's had some use and some wear on it. It's a good knife though. Don't get me wrong, it's a good knife, and people love that knife. People love that style of knife. Again, I'm not a huge fan of that style of knife, but it does work, and I used it successfully for many years. Two of my recent favorites, I've got like 4 fixed blades out here I'm going to show you, and then I've got 2 folders that I'm going to cover. 3 folders. I'll dig the Swiss Army out for good measure. I know we've already talked about it, but I'm going to dig it out for good measure. As far as fixed blades, probably my favorite to date, I believe, is this guy, which is a Condor Kephart. I like this knife. I like Condor knives. I really do. They're not overly expensive. I think I bought this one over at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I think it was 50-something bucks out the door, tax and all that noise, because I bought it in a store. But great little knife. A lot more utilitarian than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to feel about the hump on the spine here, but I actually like it. It lets you dig in, get a little more leverage on it. Works really good with a ferro rod. As you can see, I've got a ferro rod on the case here, so good little knife. Condors need a little bit of work out of the box. You need to put a good edge on them. They don't generally come shaving sharp. I've reprofiled this one and worked it over quite a bit, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of work on the scales. They're a little rough in a couple places, and I don't want to create hot spots on my hand from them. But that's probably my favorite right now. Great little knife. Obviously, you can tell it does not have a huge blade. I think it's a 4-inch blade on that. It's not real big. So, great little knife. Kephart himself did not believe there was ever a need to baton wood with a knife. That's one of the reasons why that profile worked really well for him. For the most part, I agree with him. For the most part, I definitely agree with him. I carry a hatchet. If I need to baton something, I can use the hatchet. It generally works well. That's kind of what it's made for. Prior to that, Hammer actually got me this for Christmas last year, I believe it was. I believe it was Christmas last year. And this is the Condor Kephart. Another great knife, another knife styled after an old school bushcrafter, Horace Kephart. Great little knife. I love the spear point on it. It can get in and do great little fine work. It handles pretty much everything. I have batoned wood with this knife. It doesn't handle big stuff. Obviously, it's not a huge knife. It's a little bigger than the Kephart though. Still, great solid little knife. I really like the spear point for fine things. I can dig in and drill little holes with it if I have to. Great little knife. Next one I haven't used yet. I'm looking forward to using this one. I got it in the mail today, so this is like my mail call. And this is the Condor Woodlaw, which again, not a big huge blade on it, but it is. All 3 of these are full tang. The great solid little knives. 90-degree spines on them, so you can strike a ferro rod good with them. And I'm looking forward to trying this one out. I have high hopes for it, I guess. I have high hopes for it. I don't think it's going to replace the Kephart, but I do definitely have high hopes for it. Also, with the Condors, they all come pretty much standard with about this kind of sheath right here. This one is actually from the Kephart I think. But this one's a little stretched. I'm actually going to water form it to this one. This is actually the one that came with the Woodlaw, which is the same sheath, only black. And obviously the Nessmuck has the same, but I put the loop on it for the ferro rod. I will put a loop on the other two as well for a ferro rod, depending on which one I carry. I've always got a ferro rod with me that way. This one here, I'm personally kind of proud of this one. I just finished making this one. It's a little Puuko design made out of an old file. A Nicholson Mill Bastard file is actually what started off, which is 1095 high carbon. All three of these, by the way, are 1095 high carbon. Ironwood scales on this one. We've done some initial testing with this one, and it actually surprised the hell out of both of us. So once I get a sheath made for it, this will be the next on my list to give a thorough testing to after the Woodlaw. So you can see I carry a broad spectrum of different blade types. Don't get hung up on a specific blade type. You don't need a Bowie knife. Just pick a knife that you're comfortable with. Pick a knife that you can carry well, that sits good on your hip, that's not too big, that'll hold a really good edge, that you can put an edge on fairly well. Learn the knife, learn how to sharpen it, and go from there. If you don't like a drop point, get a clip point. If you don't like a clip point, get a spear tip. If you don't like a spear tip, get a Puuko. There's a million different knife profiles out there you can try out. So don't be scared. Try them out. Try out the less expensive ones just to learn if you like the profile or not. That's probably a better way to do it than spending $100 a knife testing out which one you like. Now, folders are a little different because these are, I use these for like meal prep at a campsite, little tiny stuff. I'll pull it out, to cut some cordage or something. Everybody pretty much knows these guys. This is an Opinel. This is actually an Opinel number 10. I have stained the handle some and acid washed the blade. It's high carbon, so you can actually do a good acid wash on it. And I've modified the tip because I did break it. It used to be just a straight curve up. I've kind of done a little modified drop on it. I broke it. I had to do something with it. These never come with sheaths. They are available, or you can craft yourself one up. This is just a little one I made. Holds well. Didn't really take a whole lot, just some stitching and some leather. Cover that in a future video about skills too. This is kind of my favorite go-to folder, at least for a bigger folder. My father actually gave me this knife randomly, and it's a Case XX changer. Let me show you the case here. And it's weird because it's a case knife with Sandvik steel, which is odd. This is the case. As you can see, it's a little bulky. It's got some tricks up its sleeve. And I currently carry it with this blade. I'll clean it off there. I currently carry it with that profile blade. Oh, there we go. Now I can see. I also carry this for work 5 days a week, so I abuse this thing pretty heavily, and it holds up really, really well. These are still available from Case. I don't know if they still have the Sandvik steel or if they've gone to a different variety of steel on them. This one is a much older variety, so I don't know. But it also comes with this that they call a utility blade, which is kind of neat. And yes, the blade does just come right off. It's safe and secure, but it's definitely, it'll come off if you want. And you got the drop point. And last but not least, the saw, which is really kind of neat. And let me tell you, that saw will eat some wood. It's not a pull only like the derp Silkies. It is a pull push both direction unit, multi-directional. And I'm sorry, I was wrong. That is a clip point. The one I have on it, I do believe, is the drop. Yes, that is the drop point. And as far as putting a new blade on it, literally presses in, snaps, and locks, and it's not going anywhere. It's a firm blade. So, and if you really like knives anyways, like I do, man, I can't recommend one of these enough. This thing, first of all, it's just cool. It's just cool. So we'll run with that. And then we both talked about the Swiss Army knives. Like I said, this is a Swiss camp. I said that in the first video. I have changed this one a little bit. I haven't really changed it that much. I put this little guy in here, which is a ferro rod. It's a Firefly, I believe they're called. Hammer actually purchased that for me, purchased those and gave me one of them, so he's kind of the expert on them, but I swear by this guy. So what is the best knife for bushcraft? The knife you have in your pocket. That's where it goes. I mean, I've carried everything from a little Swiss Army like this guy to obviously my Swiss camp. I've carried every one of these knives except for the Woodlaw and my Puuko, which is affectionately named the Apocapuuko because of what it initially looked like with a paracord wrap and a simple riveted sheath. So don't get hung up on a specific knife. There is no must-have knife for bushcraft. The knife you must have is the knife that works for you. And these, anything from Condor I really recommend, as long as it's the 1095 or 1075 steel. I don't recommend their 440 stuff. I'm just not a fan of 440. So, and don't get hung up on, you have to carry a high carbon knife. No, you don't. No, you absolutely do not. Because 99% of us are never going to start a fire by striking flint against our knife blade. I know how to do flint and steel fires. I've done them. I'm fairly proficient with it. I would rather carry a piece of steel than try to strike it on my knife blade. It's probably not going to happen. If I've got flint, I've got my steel. They're in the same kit. So anyways, that's all I've got for you. I hope you guys are planning on doing something out in the bush on your days off this week or this weekend if you can get out. Weather's finally cooling off here. We're going to be down in the 40s and 50s at night and only in the 70s during the day. Whew, I don't deal well with real bad heat, and I'm in the South, so I'm dying all summer here. But anyways, as I said, that's what I got. Hope I was helpful. Hope I gave you some good information. And if you want a video from me in DIY about the loop for the ferro rods or anything like that, feel free to hit me up. Let me know. I try to do my best to help. We'll see you all in the woods.